Hi everyone and good afternoon and welcome to CompNow's Managing Modern Schools with VMware webinar. My name is John Tapper and I'm the CompNow CAT-S4 BDM for Queensland. Today we're talking to Paul Saltmarsh, Senior ICT from Brisbane Catholic Education, and Gavin Kennedy, Director of Information Services from Lindisfarne Anglican Grammar, about their use of VMware solutions enabling secure and modern management approach across their diverse school environments. We also have Max Wade, our local VMware representative, joining us as well to answer some of your questions. And we'll finish off at the end with a Q&A with Paul, Gavin and Max. And please feel free to put any questions in the live chat and we'll get to them towards the end of the webinar as well. But before we get started, just a quick blurb on CompNow. For some of you who may not know too much about us, we're 100% Australian-owned company, now in 30 years of trading in Australia with over 270 staff and offices in 5 states. We're one of Australia's largest education commercial partners and also have direct relationships with key events like Microsoft, HP and Dell. We have over 5,000 customers at the moment and counting from memory, and over 160 NSA clients, managing over 100,000 endpoints as well. Our business units are split into 2 main areas. You want to go to the next slide, Tom? Thank you. On the left there is specialist engineering services, which include contracted on-site and remote services, procurement and end-to-end solutions infrastructure for education institutions, a corporate and government division, service centres as well, offering comprehensive break and fix and warranty services. And on the right, our value-add verticals, which include AV and collaboration solutions, training and professional learning, medical care, medical grade solutions, and we have a growing team of in-house developers available to work on bespoke projects as well. So I'll just move on now and take it over to Paul to just kick us off and let us through your journey.
Afternoon, John. Afternoon, everybody. Welcome. About 3.5, 4 years ago, we realised that we had a huge investment in IT infrastructure over, well, I went and saw the guys in building services this morning, spread over 63,526 square kilometres, which is the size of the diocese. We needed a method to centrally manage and track these devices throughout their entire life cycle. We identified at the time that what was then Workspace ONE was sitting in Gartner's Magic Quadrant as a premium cross-platform mobile device manager. We had a strong relationship with CompNow because we had a huge investment in the Apple platform. By huge investment, we've got about 36,000 iPads, about 14,000 Macs, and about 32,000 Windows devices, spread across 75,000 students and 11,000 staff. So we engaged with CompNow to help us on this path with VMware to roll out the platform. We were really, really surprised by the support from both CompNow and VMware during that. And I probably should be paying more closer attention to my slides, shouldn't I? Look, we've got 146 different sites over that huge area. You can move on to the next slide, Tom. And like I said, we're early adopters of the platform. The ability to remotely manage the complete life cycle of these devices is absolutely a gem for us. It really is. When COVID hit, it didn't really matter. We were already spread over 63,000 square kilometres. So that ability to remotely manage all devices, securely manage devices, the ability to, if a device goes missing, you throw it into lost mode and it starts to beacon its geographical location, which is a wonderful feature you can remotely wipe. If a teacher decides that tomorrow they want to use a particular piece of software, which is often the case because teachers are always last-minute advisors, it's just a push of the button to throw that to a classroom, to a school, to an individual. It's really quite wonderful. And that really insulated us from that diversification effect that, that the COVID lockdown put us under. And next slide, Tom. And I suppose the highlights of the journey have been because we were cutting edge on the platform and the solution. It was a three-way journey, and it still kind of is. We'll push back on VMware from time to time and say, hey, we want this feature. And they scratch their heads and go, that sounds pretty smart. So we work with John and CompNow and VMware, and it really is, it's a collective journey. And I suppose that's been the single biggest highlight. And the platform's still evolving, and we're still evolving. And I think that journey will continue for some time yet. And I think that's about all I've got for you, John.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. And now we'll move on to Gavin. Tell us about your journey.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everybody. I think, I'll start. I think I've been a VMware user, serious VMware user for about 10 years now. And, I was, in preparation for this, looking back at the journey and, brought back some memories, but it's been a great journey and a really stable one. And obviously that's why I'm here as an advocate for it. So we're Lindisfarne Anglican Grammar School's a incredibly fast-growing school in the Northern Rivers, and we're K-12. We're co-ed. We're just a day school at this stage, although we've got some pretty aspirational plans to to expand and grow. And we've added about 600 students in the last 3 years, and as you can imagine, that's a pretty full-time job for our enrolments team. But really positive stuff for us. We've got a beautiful outlook here in Terranora, which is up in the hills, a couple of suburbs south of Tweed, just on the side of the border. We can whale watch from our library, and we've got rainforest down the hill, and we're only about 10 minutes from the airport. So really fortunate location and beautiful place to work. Jump over the next slide for me. We've got a fairly decent environment here currently across 2 campuses, and we are one-to-one iPad school up to year 6 and MacBook Pros in 7 to 12, and so we have a fairly decent infrastructure behind that. For us, one of the main benefits of VMware has been our ability to be agile and grow as our enrollments grow. And it is our core infrastructure. It is the most important piece of software that we run at the school. I think without that ability to deploy services and upgrade and do all things seamlessly, to provide a 24/7 operation, I can't visualize how we would do that, without this core infrastructure software. It's been a great journey. I remember looking back when I first implemented VMware. I was very young, and I was at a public school in WA, and we had, in those days that was centrally managed, but we had some freedom to deploy some services. And I remember my first kind of aha moment was when back in the day it was called consolidated backup, and we were able to really, for me, understand the future of this in terms of how we're able to protect our services, migrate them, upgrade our hardware, deploy without virtually any additional cost, which is especially important in government schools in those days, to be able to do that. And that became the beginning of my journey, and I've never looked back. I think it's a piece of it that we rely on, and we have absolute faith that it'll operate day to day, and that's been the case for well over a decade. So it's I'm really grateful for it. It makes our life easier. Even in the larger private schools, you still tend to operate with relatively small teams, and really the only way to successfully do that is to implement software that just works for you. It does its job. It has great support behind it, and is ultimately reliable, because you just don't have time to be a slave to those kinds of technologies. So VMware's certainly been that invariably over that period of time, and I'm really grateful for that. Jump over the next slide for me. So there we go. Yeah, so as I said, we've got a decent size on-premise infrastructure. We're in many things early adopters in technology, but probably one of the things that we haven't adopted really is moving everything to the cloud. And so for us, hosting all of our services on-premise becomes even more critical, that we have the ability to do that in a stable way. And so there's an example of some of our infrastructure on screen for you. We have around 90 virtual machines running. We implement vSAN, so we the buzzword is hyper-converged. We have storage built into the hosts, and it's all flash storage, so it's incredibly high performing. And this is something we set up 2 or 3 years ago, and really has just been so stable and easy to manage and build on. And over that time, we've certainly added storage to that virtual SAN cluster, and that's been invariably pretty easy to do. So we're really grateful for that. I think we're pretty typical in terms of the workloads we run at the school. There's some examples there. We have all the normal stuff, but we also push the limits of it. We run, we've got extensive storage there for CCTV footage with many dozens of cameras around the campuses and that kind of stuff. We run our IP phone system through there. We run absolutely everything on that infrastructure, and so it's as I've said, so important. We also use Horizon, which is a virtual desktop platform, and so we're one-to-one Apple school, but we know that there are some Windows applications that we need, or perhaps they're just simply a little bit better on Windows, and we can really easily provide that to our users. And we have staff and students using the Horizon platform really successfully from home. We give them plenty of resources in the back end, and next year we're looking at adding NVIDIA Grid to that, so that we can really add some good 3D design capability to those to that software without having to kind of provision more hardware and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're really happy with that. Super easy to manage, and again, great support. So really allows us to be a yes department and provide everything that we want to the team. Yeah, so really in summary, again, as I mentioned, it's so important that this stuff just works, and you're not constantly trying to fix it or troubleshoot it. Things don't always go perfectly, but that's where the support, and I think VMware support is, to be honest, some of the best support you'll get. It's really accessible, really easy to get to, really down to earth, and they're highly skilled. So that sort of goes without saying, but really good experience in that regard. And I've been working with COP now for a little while now, and one of the things that is refreshing for me is to have such a broad range of skills that and really to have this kind of relationship where they're one of the team is something that is important to me. And again, as I mentioned, we have pretty thin staffing really at school, and to have that extension of our team available for in any area of the technology is invaluable. And we get that, and COP now are super good to deal with. So I've been really pleased and really refreshed by what we can offer now by having that extended team. So yeah, look, without dragging on, I hope that I hope that sort of summarizes the journey and where we're at, and how it makes life so much easier for us. And I wouldn't change. It's one of those technologies that we can just bank on, and it's so critical. So that's about all from me.
Thank you, Gavin. Really appreciate the detail there as well, and information. So look, just again, to everyone joining us, please feel free to put your questions in the live chat. We'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to sort of, pop the questions through to the people joining us here in the webinar. I'll get on to Max now. Max, if you want to tell us a bit about VMware. I think you're on mute. You're muted, Max.
Oh, I knew that would happen. Thank you all. Living your life on Zooms and video conferences. Yeah, fortunately, I don't need to go and say too much more about VMware. Paul and Gavin did a sensational summary of their unique deployments. Paul, I've been following the journey of Brisbane Catholic Education Office for a number of years. I mean, to scale out to 75,000 students, over 140 different schools, it's just an amazing effort and a testament to the scalability and flexibility of the solution. And Gavin's story of really going from the data center to the device was great to hear. Quick introduction to myself. Max Wade, the end user computing specialist at VMWare, in Victoria and Tasmania. But in my 7 years, I've looked after the southern region of Australia, spent a couple of years looking after New Zealand, looked after the partner community for a few years, and yeah, I found myself back in Victoria supporting K-12 along with a few other industries out there. So today, just really wanted to share some insights that we've gained from the last 9 months, dealing with working with a lot of K-12. There's been a huge amount of disruption, and we've seen it sort of isolate in 3 key areas. Really trying to provide a degree of stability for students going through their year levels, especially those doing VCE. My cousin's, he's doing year 12 at the moment, based out of Geelong, and he's gone from campus to home to campus to home to other home, and it's been a very fragmented 12 months for him. So wishing him all the best in the exams coming up. But it's been a case of creating a environment where students can work and learn from anywhere and have simple, secure access to all of the academic resources they need to get successful educational outcomes out there. And I'd like to think that this is sustainable going forward once we do have a more stable way of life where students can go into campuses and have flexibility to go from classrooms to labs to libraries to their friend's house to learn, practice on assignments, to go home, go from device to device, whether it be iOS, Android, Mac, Chromebook, school issued or personal, and have the same experience and the same simple access to all applications from one simple interface instead of having to go to multiple portals, multiple authentication processes, just really making it easy to be a student. And to Gavin's statement before with regards to virtual applications and desktops, by being able to virtualize these essential applications, you can go forward and make them available to students on any device. So if you've got a BYOD policy where some students have top range devices, some have low range devices, it doesn't have a material impact on the performance of those applications, creating a sense of digital equality and the ability to consume on any device out there. And it's great for those graphics applications and design, app developments, things along those lines. And then for personal devices, you don't want to have the school having full visibility of GPS, the ability to do factory reset, greater privacy. So it's simply the school managing the applications available for the students. And when they finish primary school, secondary school, the school can simply remove their access to those applications, and they can take their personal device with them to get on with their life. Next slide, thanks, Tom. For the teachers out there, it's very much a case of the same flexibility that the students are benefiting from. Choosing their own device, simple onboarding processes where traditionally it could take hours, days, even weeks to get new devices, the applications required, access to intranets, authentication into key portals. It's streamlining that so that students are available day one, productive to go forth and deliver the curriculum to the students, and same with the administrative staff to do the work that they do within the offices. Staff quite often have different visibility to different applications, whether it be student databases, whether it be finance applications, HR. So you might have greater levels of security and authentication around those to keep sensitive data secure. And you can create permissions based on teachers as opposed to students out there. So you've got the appropriate policies and frameworks around who the individual is to the institution. Next slide, please, Tom. And for administrators, listening to Paul's story, making it simple and secure, and in his case, very scalable. We are in a situation where organizations and institutions, schools have implemented multiple end-user computing technologies to achieve similar outcomes. So you might have multiple same goals of pushing down applications, policies, device management, and it's creating overhead, licensing costs, security gaps out there, and poor cost management. So we're at a point of time where we can really consolidate on those multiple technologies and deliver great levels of opportunity, better security for the students and teachers, a much better end user experience, and I dare say some cost savings out there as well. From a security standpoint as well, a lot of schools are looking at the next gen antivirus technology out there. VMware acquired a company late last year called Carbon Black that does integrate very well with the end user computing technology as well as managing the servers there. So it's again really designed to, from the data center to the device, having a consolidated solution and one vendor in support with CompNow to really try to meet all of those outcomes the schools are looking to achieve out there. Next, Tom. I'll try not to get too producty, but the platform is very much based around a scalable and multi-tenanted architecture. So Paul's environment's grown to over 75,000 devices. We've got the likes of Walmart, which have over 1 million devices on it. And Paul's is the perfect example of multi-tenancy and flexibility. So having over 140 different schools, different year levels, different subjects, all that require different applications, and be able to deliver those and keep them up to date in a environment where it's changing every term, every semester, every year, new devices coming through. You need a platform that makes it as efficient and automated as possible. And with that, you've got the ability to upload into a single point your traditional Windows apps, your SaaS applications, your mobile applications, virtual applications and desktops into the one portal. And for the end user, it's again consuming it from the same interface, going from device to device. That can be completely customized and branded to meet the branding of your particular school. And then from a device or unified endpoint management, I mentioned it before that traditionally you've needed a SCCM and or Intune to do Windows, you've needed Jamf for Mac OS, Google to do Chromebooks, maybe a Meraki for iOS and Android. And what we're doing is giving a cloud-hosted management platform that has depth across each of those operating systems, so you can manage everything from a single platform and leverage out-of-the-box capabilities such as device enrollment program, autopilot, factory provisioning with Dell, HP, Lenovo, Samsung Knox enrollment, to make sure that it's making it as easy as possible for administrators to get devices in the hands of students and teachers to be productive and learning straight away. And once they are in the hands, you've got full lifecycle management, as Paul was mentioning. So saying that you've got the ability to push new applications, patches, updates, lock, locate, wipe these devices if they get lost, stolen, or compromised. And if a student or teacher is having issues, you've got remote view and control built into the platform as well, which is very necessary for this sort of disparate learning environment we find ourselves in at the moment. And then from a security standpoint, you've got conditional access. So is it a student or a teacher accessing the application? What application are they trying to access? Are they on the school network? Are they at home? Is the device managed or BYOD? Is it compromised? And that determines if it's open the application, biometrics, multi-factor authentication, or if you're not meeting the security requirements, it's revoking access. But to the end user, it's all very straightforward. There's not many students out there that are using multi-factor authentication, and it's very rare that you've got some teachers or faculty, administrative staff out there using it either. But the possibility is there to do it. And then from a threat detection standpoint, I mentioned that Carbon Black is now part of VMware, but we also work with Wandera, Checkpoint, Lookout, Palo Alto Networks, all of your key sort of security and network technologies out there who go out, identify threats, interject those into the Workspace ONE platform. Workspace ONE identifies which devices are vulnerable, automatically pushes down patches, updates. Until that device is at a secure state, you're not able to access those critical applications. So it's creating that zero trust security framework that we're seeing a lot of analysts out there sort of advocate. And all of this is built on a platform that has intelligence engine that's gathering data from devices, users, applications, and providing meaningful reports, analytics, and make it so that the administration knows how the digital learning environment is being used, what areas for improvement are out there, and yeah, make strategic decisions going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Max. Appreciate the overview there. Look, I'll just what I will do now is basically throw some questions to you guys. I had some emailed earlier to me today. So happy for either yourself, Paul, or Gavin to jump in and answer these. So I'll start with the first one here. Where do schools generally start their journey?
In what regard, Jonas?
In terms of when they're looking at the product initially, I mean, how do they come to you, or do you, how does it usually work?
Well, look, I'll share my story. Usually that's our responsibility as a team. I mean, typically in schools, the executive team will, there'll be a strategy involved in all this kind of thing. But in terms of picking VMware, I mean, the responsibility of the team and who's in charge of that team to deliver a system that can support those strategies. So really, that's where the decision making comes in and picking platforms. And the journey for VMware really starts with, it could be something like this webinar. This could be the start of something for someone out there that they look at this and they hear that it's reliable and they start to look into it. They reach out to CompNow, and that could be the start of the journey. The start of the journey for me was a 22-year-old trying stuff out. So it's really different for everybody. But really, as you move through the schools and deeper into your career, you tend to take reliable things with you, and sometimes even reliable team members. But VMware as a team member, you definitely take with you, and the journey becomes a bit easier as time goes on. That's probably my view on that.
Yeah, we sort of had a different approach. So we do have 146 schools, and they do kind of operate autonomously to some degree, but we actually took a bit of a big stick to them all and said, get your devices in here, watch, and get them in now. We had some slow adopters. We had some schools on a different platform. I'm pretty sure you know which platform that'd be for their iOS and Windows iOS and Mac devices. We don't have any left. Everyone has embraced the platform. Yeah, that's how it was for us.
Interesting. And obviously being first-hand at that as well, dealing with schools that were struggling to make the move and let go of the old solution. But once they jumped on board, they absolutely loved it. So it's been really good from my point of view. Got another question here, guys. How do you address the combination of BYD and school issued devices? Probably
that's easy for us. Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, look, we don't either. We're all school-owned devices, and we do that for a very good reason. It's a philosophical debate, isn't it? Paul. But when I look at the strategy of providing a reliable device that always works, that is consistent, easy to teach with, all these kinds of things that we value, we don't go that road. And plenty of people do, and it's really successful. But for me, I don't see the cost to the community, the economical saving to the community is there. So that's why we do school managed and do it successfully. But not to say that that's just my view on it, and it's a debated topic and all that kind of thing. But I think the platforms become even more critical when you start to diversify your devices out there. And not that I think it'd be much fun, but certainly would be much more achievable with a cross-platform management device and a management platform and that kind of stuff. So I think that's where it'd come in critically.
Pretty much agree with Gavin there. We're certainly probably in a place where we could do it given our mobile device management platform, but like Gavin mentioned, the overhead and it far outweighs the potential cost saving. Often that BYOD program is that decision's budget driven. We don't see that as being true.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. I've actually got a question for Max here that's come through. How fully featured is MDM support for Android devices? And are there difficulties with different brands of OS and of Android devices?
I've only done 2. Was it for Max?
By all means, jump in first.
Go, Paul, go for it.
Look, last week the decision was made that we were moving forward to support Android devices as an option for mobile phones, given that we're a soft phone industry, we don't have desk phones. So yesterday I sort of grit my teeth. I grabbed a Samsung Galaxy A20 and I had it enrolled using a QR code in about 15 minutes. A little bit of jiggling in the back end, generate that QR code, scan it. So basically what happens is you take it out of the box, you tap the phone 6 times, that's it. You're enrolled. Scan a QR code. I was quite impressed. So.
Fantastic. And I know that there's been sort of a endeavor to make it very simple to manage the breadth of Android devices out there, because there is a huge range from high end to low end out there. And I know that the Android Enterprise framework has been designed to really simplify and standardize the configuration, deployment, and ongoing management of these devices in a way that doesn't discriminate against the sort of hardware provider out there.
Fantastic. And here's another question that's just come through late. One for all of you to discuss, maybe perhaps starting with Paul. You mentioned that COVID didn't impact you greatly. Which products or processes do you put that down to? And what feedback from your school communities did you get?
We've had a long-standing to the cloud first approach, probably for the last 6 years. So if we could publish it or get it into the cloud, that's where it went. So and look, Office 365, undeniably invaluable in that space. And a mobile device management platform, also invaluable in that space. They're probably the 2 big ones. Schools consume a lot of services from us. So we publish our student management system, school data systems. They're all published out of our data center and consumed by schools. So given that we're already, covering 63,000 square kilometres, sending kids home didn't make that much difference.
Yeah, and I'll paint the same picture there. We were largely unaffected. As an IT team, we were arguably positively affected. We had more spare time. We pushed projects through. We did things like that because the combination of many decisions that were made over the preceding years and the platforms that we have in place, the reliability, the fact that we're location agnostic, really made no difference to us technically, whether they were at home or here. On-device security and filtering and all these kinds of things were implemented, a long time ago, and so that all worked. And really, then it just came down to the teachers and their ability to use the platforms and all these kinds of things. And they did an amazing job, and it's really all on them, because our responsibility is to make sure that is a reality for them, that we're not in a position ever that this becomes a liability. So our enrollments grew during COVID. We had virtual principals tours going all the time, and it was really incredible. And probably not all of it, but we definitely got significant amount of feedback around enrolling in our school because of the systems that were working and the reputation that was slowly building in this region. And so that's a combination of all the platforms and the decisions that you make along the way, and your philosophy and what you value and what are the things that are important to you. And so, I think that's the a lot of things and forms of critical.
And I'd like to just quickly interject with a story that I've come across in the last 6 months locally here in Melbourne. Not K-12, but it's one of the TAFEs here that we've been working with for a large amount of years. They've had a large deployment of Horizon, scaling over 5,000 students. And when it came to a case of the greater or metropolitan Melbourne is completely locked down, to be able to mobilise and deliver the same curriculum where possible. Obviously, TAFE has a lot of hands-on sort of engagements, but for the most part, all the learning materials were available through Horizon, and IT to the rest of the business was absolutely heroed, praised, and having this sort of infrastructure and technology to facilitate flexibility given the circumstances that present. It's great to see that it's the same story between yourselves, Paul and Gavin. But yeah, it's quite exciting to see what can be done.
Fantastic, guys. Look, if I guess one last question came through here as well. I guess if you were to summarise how it's improved the way you work day to day, Paul.
It's certainly streamlined a lot of our processes. Device deployments used to be a thing. Now they're no thing. It's just made that aspect. And when schools are rolling out 300 and 400 devices every year, especially secondaries, that used to be a significant amount of time out of IT's early start of year and end of year processes. It's significantly reduced that, had a measurable financial impact in that regard. That's probably the biggest one. John?
Yeah, and we'll roll out in January 1,900 devices, and I'm absolutely aware that used to be an ordeal. It used to be huge, and now it's really something we just plan for reasonably. We know how many devices we can process. We have robust services around it and the MDM and everything, and it's really not an ordeal at all. It's just a scalable workload that needs to occur. The other way, on the infrastructure side, I can easily talk to how it makes us work better, and we are so agile in our ability to deploy services. We're going down containerization at the moment and looking at vSphere for containerizing lots of services. And one thing we did really quickly in the space of about 2 days recently was containerize a LAMP server, so a web server and a database server for kids. And we were able to do that in the vSphere platform. And now we spun up 150 or something containers with MySQL and PHP and everything pre-configured. And I mean, this kind of stuff, years ago was really, you would have said no to that. And that's one of the biggest things is your agility enables you to say yes, because you can fit it in your workload. You can deploy the resources you have, usually humans, and get that stuff done and say yes. So it's huge. And from an infrastructure point of view, it's no surprise. Like being able to migrate servers and upgrade hardware and all of that with zero downtime, that is significant. And gee, it's happened quick. We're really probably only a decade in, and that kind of stuff has changed IT massively. And so, yeah, I think that they're probably the two biggest, things for us.
And the thing that I've appreciated the most in the last 9 months is, and what I think will be a huge part going forward, is flexible working to suit your lifestyle. So my fiance is in healthcare and has sporadic hours, so the sort of Venn diagram sort of time of where we could spend some time together was fairly minimalized. But now with the flexibility to work 24/7, if Laura's here during the day, I can simply take 11 o'clock off to 2 o'clock, go for lunch, go for a walk, work till 7 p.m. and really sort of, live the best balance of life. I can see a future where people spend more time with young families, might work from home on Mondays and Fridays, and go into the office or school Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Obviously a little bit different for teachers, but it's really exciting to see how, from a work perspective, there's going to be greater levels of flexibility where you're not, the concerns are mitigated around access to resources and the security in which you're accessing them. It's just going to be a fun time to see, and how school environments react to that as well, with creating flexible learning environments, transforming campuses physically to use this technology towards what were previously fit for purpose classrooms into more malleable rooms that can be geography, goes into history, goes into science, goes into a computer lab. You can change different rooms to be more collaborative environments. So yeah, I just can't wait to see how technology and the changing circumstances transform things in the years to come.
Yeah, really practical example of that. And you hear these stories of working from home and they're true and great and everything, but really practically using Horizon to provide a Windows desktop to a staff member that wants to stay at home, particularly in admin, is just a classic practical example of how you can really quickly do that. And, you can spin those desktops up really quickly if they're not already there and in the morning and get them up and running. And, these are technologies that really sort of make the story come true, and behind the stories of people working from home, there's always a technology like that enables it. And we've done that on a number of occasions, temporarily, permanently, through COVID, even after COVID, particularly after COVID. So that's an example of the technology actually doing its job.
Fantastic. Thanks, Gavin. Appreciate that. Look, I'm conscious of time, so I'm just happy for you guys to make any final comments if you have any at all. If not, obviously I better include that for anyone out there that needs any advice or has any questions around VMware, their products, please feel free to reach out to your local CompNow rep. But yeah, guys, if you don't have anything else that you want to add at all, I'd like to thank you for your time and really appreciate you joining us for this awesome webinar. So appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And